do you recommend any basic supplements that most people could benefit from, and any in particular for people with PCOS? So the first supplement will be, again, no surprise to any of you. Most of you, or all of you, should be taking a vitamin D supplement most of the year. So we recommend that the vitamin D is supplemented October through to April in the UK. And you don't need anything fancy, and you don't need any huge quantities of vitamin D either. Just a basic one, 400 international units or 10 micrograms a day. That's the recommended daily dose. You could take that all year round. I think personally it's easy. This is on my desk just because it's easy for me to remember then, because I'll sit here every day and just think, right, I'll just have that. But I think that if you get this dose, and there are some humongous doses for sale, I've had people on like 4,000 international units. And as I say, the recommendation is only 400. If you're taking just the recommended dose, you could take it all year round, and then you don't have to worry about forgetting and remembering. You can add it as part of your daily habits, something that's really easy to just fit in around something that you already do. For me, that's having it on my desk, so I'll do it every day. For you, it might be adding it onto your morning cup of tea or your cereal, and just making sure that it's something that you build into a habit. Other than that, I don't supplement anything else really as a blanket statement, because it would depend on each person and what their individual requirements were and what their own diet was like. And there's kind of a lot of pushing on selling supplements nowadays online. You need to kind of be careful because we don't often need a lot of these supplements. So yeah, just looking for individualized recommendations about supplements. If there's something you're concerned about, by all means, you can ask me one-to-one later on, and I'll be more than happy to advise. PCOS wise, I am a woman with PCOS, and I would recommend a supplement called inositol. Now, this is a supplement that has got a lot of research behind it. And it can really help some of the symptoms of PCOS, especially the insulin resistance that's related to that, and which can be part of the reason why women with PCOS do gain weight. So yeah, if that was you and you want a little bit more information, I can send you a photograph, or I can send you the dosage. I can't remember it off the top of my head because there's two different types of inositol, the chiro-inositol and myo-inositol, and it's a ratio, and you need to kind of have the right ratio for it to be effective. So I'm more than happy to send that over to whoever it was who needed that information, or if anyone wants it.
How do you spell that, please, Kai?
inositol.
Thank you.
No problem. Okie dokie. So next question. This question comes up so often. How important is meal timing? Does when I eat matter as much as what I eat? It depends is the answer to that. You'll get used to people like me saying it depends quite a lot. And that the reason it depends is because it depends what the question is that you're asking. Does it matter from an energy balance perspective? The answer is no. It really doesn't matter from an energy balance perspective. So what I mean by that is, like, you're not going to naturally gain more weight by eating calories after 9 p.m. Your body metabolism doesn't change after 9 p.m. It's about energy balance throughout the day. So let's just say over the course of a day, you eat 2,000 calories. It doesn't matter what time you eat those 2,000 calories, your body will metabolize them in exactly the same way. Your metabolism doesn't go up and down through the day. It's just like a stable thing that happens. However, if it affects your sleep, which eating later in the day often can do for many people, then you may find that has a knock-on effect on your hunger the next day. Because what we know is that when people don't sleep well, they do tend to need more energy to get them through the day when they're tired, and therefore they may eat more as a result of that. So it's kind of like, no, physiologically, you're not just going to start using the energy from your food different depending on the time of day that you eat it. However, if it's keeping you awake, then, or it's affecting your sleep, or you've got a bit of tummy ache and things like that, then it may have a knock-on effect in that scenario. And there is kind of little caveats around this, things like people who work shifts people who work nights and things like that do tend to struggle a little bit more because they're fighting fatigue a lot of the time and also never in a normal routine. So that can also impact weight, if that was the point of that question. Was this the person who asked that here, or didn't need clarifying anymore? No? Okay.
I don't think so.
No, does that
Can
make
I ask a question that's related to that, I
what's
think?
fun? Yeah.
So what's your thoughts on fasting?
Okay, so fasting isn't a magic wand. There's nothing special that happens in fasting, despite lots of claims that there is. However, it can be a really useful tool for many people. And that's because a lot of people work well with a rule, for example. Some people work really well with a rule, some people work with not really well with a rule. So for example, where fasting works for a lot of people is between, say, they're not going to eat between getting up in the morning and noon, it takes away that question of what should I eat? What time should I eat? It's kind of like, I just can't eat till noon.
Yeah.
And so from that perspective, that really works for people. However, it can also have a knock-on effect with people then overeating if they go way past hunger. So it's one of those things that works really well for some people and not well for others. But as a whole, there's nothing magical about it. You don't get suddenly better results from it if you're eating the same amount of calories once you come out of your fasting period. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally does. I was just thinking, I've always wondered how that affects your metabolism. Because some of the things, advice I read that, you can do, maybe if you do fasting 3 times a week,
Yeah.
where you don't eat after 6 o'clock and then you don't eat till, say, 11 o'clock the next day. I always wonder what that does to your metabolism. Does that work?
Yeah, it doesn't, your metabolism doesn't change. And your metabolism is pretty much the same throughout most of our lives. So there's lots of things out there that says our metabolism like drops as we get older, etc. And it does, but it's marginal. We're less active as we get older because we're busy, we're working, we've got other things going on. And we tend to treat, actually, in the hospital settings, we tend to treat malnutrition quite a lot in the elderly population. So it just kind of balances that mindset of thinking your metabolism's slower, but you're tired, life's harder, we've got a lot more things on our plate as we get older, and we're perhaps just not as active as we used to be, which contributes to that feeling of everything's slowing down. But your metabolism is literally what's keeping you alive, and if that changes, then that's problematic. And obviously there are caveats to this. So we have things like thyroid issues that would affect how your metabolism changes, but like I said, when your metabolism changes, it's problematic. So yeah, the fasting doesn't affect it, generally speaking,
But do you think fasting is effective?
for some people and not
Yeah.
for others. Yeah.
Okay.
There's no harm in trying it. If you wanted to try it and it worked for you, great. But just kind of think about it's about overall energy balance rather than kind of,
Yeah.
yeah.
Good point. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Right. Anyone else want anything to ask anything about that?
Good.
No, that makes sense then.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So this next question, I actually didn't know, so I did look up. It says, can you please ask advice about electrolytes? Apparently water isn't enough if you suffer with lipedema. An Instagram account I follow have been talking about taking electrolytes, but there are millions of brands. Do you have any advice about them, and can they help with lipedema? So I had an instant thought about this when I read it, that at the moment, electrolytes are hugely popular. And they're everywhere that you turn. Literally, I've had so many clients come to me on the first consultation. I've said, I've been taking electrolytes. I'm aware that water's not enough. So I was a little bit skeptical when I saw that question, that maybe these electrolytes were being pushed towards people with lipedema. What I did, because I didn't know the absolute answer to it, is I went to have a look what the clinical nutritional guidelines are for people with lipedema, and nowhere in the guidance could I find any guidance on hydration whatsoever. It was just general healthy eating guidelines around that. I then reached out to a colleague with that to see if they could they had any information, they could find anything, and neither could they, and didn't know anything about it. There are some health conditions. I don't want to say yes or no in this situation, because there are some health conditions where taking electrolytes might be necessary. For example, I know that people who've had, what's that word? I've gone blank on the word. Liposuction. So people who've had liposuction, I know that you do need an electrolyte before or after that you've had that procedure. However, what concerns me about this trend as a whole, across the whole of society, is that if you have other conditions, electrolytes can be dangerous. If you are healthy and you have too many electrolytes, they can be dangerous. So it's really important that you're not just replacing all of your water with an electrolyte, because you could end up with an imbalance of your electrolytes in your blood, which could then be really unhelpful for you, for your health. In any case, for anyone that I worked with, I would not recommend an electrolyte unless they had guidance from their doctor. So if you're in the chat and it's you that's asking this question, I would suggest that you speak to your GP about it, because you would need your bloods monitoring for your electrolyte levels if you were taking them like all of the time. But if you're thinking about maybe just adding one electrolyte drink in a day, then that might be quite safe, and your GP would be fine to advise on that. But it's not a simple question that I cannot safely give a blanket answer to, I'm afraid. So I hope that's a little bit helpful for whoever it was that asked it. But unfortunately, I just don't have a blanket answer for that one. Any questions about that? Because I know electrolytes are everywhere. So even if it's not related to lipedema and you just wanted to ask, fire away. No? Bro. Okay. So next question. Fantastic. I recently started taking Mounjaro, and I'm so aware of the need to try and maintain my protein intake whilst taking the drug and forcing myself to eat. What's the best way of keeping my protein levels up, but still making the most of the effects of the drug, i.e. not being hungry and keeping calories low? Okay, so I support quite a lot of people who are on Mounjaro, and it's a difficult balance, because you want to really maximize the effect of the drug and get yourself to your goal. But what I would say is, don't think about it as getting there as fast as you can. And remember, I know you're saying you're forcing yourself to eat, but remember that you do still need nutrition in order for your body to do all of the fantastic things it does for you every day. I would personally, and this works really well for the people I work with, is going for 3 to 5 small meals a day instead of just your basic like 2 or 3 bigger meals. Because when you're not feeling hungry, it's really hard to sit and have a full meal. So kind of just making sure that each one is balanced. So I understand the emphasis on protein, and protein is incredibly important, but also making sure that you're still getting your fruits and your veggies in there as well, wherever you can. My other top tips for Mounjaro are that you make sure you're looking after your gut health. So thinking about adding in cereal, if that's not something that you already eat. So some whole grain cereals would be really helpful. And you can have that with milk. Milk's really high in protein, massively underestimated how much protein is in milk. You could try a protein shake if you're really struggling. A few 100 mils of milk, add in a scoop of a protein powder. There's nothing special about any of them, just get the one you like the best. That could be something that you could try. Yogurts work really well as well. So you could have some Greek yogurt and some fruits, eggs, things like that. So you could perhaps cook some chicken sausages up, have some boiled eggs in the fridge, get some tomatoes and cucumbers or something like that. You've got a really quick meal that's already there for you to grab in the fridge. I think from my experience of working with people on weight loss medications, having things ready, prepared, and easy to grab is the key, because when you're not really driven to eat and you're not feeling hungry, it can be really easy to just not do anything because you like now, like when you're not on a for me now, when not people are not on a weight loss medication, you start craving things, don't you? Like, oh, I fancy this or you fancy that. Well, actually, that can kind of go away on some of these drugs. So having it pre-planned, having some stuff in the fridge that you can literally just grab and have to make sure that you are looking after your nutrition would be really beneficial. So whoever asked that, I hope that answers that question. I've got another question about protein as well later on. So there'll be a few more things that I throw into there as well for ideas for you. Any questions? Where's the next one? Okie doke. What are some, here we go, the protein one. What are some quick, easy and cheap ways to get my protein in at lunchtime? I really hope who asked this is here because I've got more questions about this. I usually take a pita bread with salad and add chicken, but when I don't get a chance to cook the chicken, I find it hard to find anything else that's as high as protein and easy and cost effective to add in. Is that person here?
Yep, I'm here with Lois.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. Sorry, my camera's not working.
That's all right. That's all right. Don't worry. Thank you for answering. So, Lois, I had just a few questions about this one. So, when you said if you don't have time to cook the chicken, what do you mean by that?
I tend to buy like a whole chicken and on a Sunday roast it, and then I'll use that during the week.
Wow.
And if I haven't got time and my oven broke the other week, then I find it really hard to know what to do instead. Because if I buy like ready prepared meat, it seems expensive and not always good quality.
Yeah. I agree with you, actually. It is really expensive, isn't it? Interestingly, there are some own brand ready cooked chicken pieces that generally have less additives in. Not that we need to overly worry about that, but they are generally less packed with other things and they tend to be the cheapest as well. But obviously they don't have as long a shelf life. So it might be worth having a look at some of those ones, just having a look at the back of the packaging just to see like what's in it. You'll see it'd be like Morrison's own Tesco, that sort of thing. But yeah, have a look at those. Do you like fish?
A little bit.
Would you consider tuna?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Stuff like that can be really helpful. And what about things like rice and beans?
Yes, I could add that into the salad. It wasn't something I thought about until Lorraine mentioned it recently.
Yeah. I think we get really stuck when we think about protein. We get stuck on meat. And there's lots of like benefits to having plant-based proteins as well. Particularly if you're mixing things like rice and beans into your salad, you're going to get lots of fiber with that. You're also going to get the protein that you need. You'll get a complete protein with it being 2 different types of protein. So you could really kind of fill that out and just make it work for you by doing that. And also that's a really inexpensive way of eating.
Yeah, that sounds very nice.
The other couple of suggestions that I had were things like eggs again.
Yeah.
But it just kind of boils down to you having time to put them in and boil them ahead of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry to hear about your oven. That's a nightmare.
It's now the element gone, but it's prepared. Well, it's a nightmare.
Yeah, I bet. Other things that you might want to consider, cottage cheese. So this helps with the person who asked about the Monjaro as well. So you've got cottage cheese. Chickpeas are also high in fiber and high in protein. I've mentioned Greek yogurt already. Thinking about mince, you could cook mince. That would work really well with the rice as well. Eggs, chicken breasts, as you've already said, and corn. Yeah. So things like that would be helpful in bulking out your protein. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for speaking. Okay, and then the last question. I think you've got some as well, haven't you, Lorraine? So we can talk about those in a minute. Yeah. So the last question is, what is the best way for a fatty eater to get enough fiber and protein? I eat like a child and struggle with fresh fruits and only eat some vegetables, but not salad. My diet is pretty beige and I really want to know that I'm feeding my body properly as I've just started to exercise. but I don't know how, when realistically I know I'm so picky. So I've worked with people like this before. I thought of somebody straight away when this came up. And it is really, really difficult when you are a picky eater. And my top tip is always maximize the things that you do like. And I know it gets samey. So if you are like, if you like certain vegetables, just make sure that you're having them every day. That way you'll know that you're getting the vitamins and minerals that you like. If you just only like a handful, so you like 5 different vegetables, that's fine. Try and fit them in through the day each day. Do whatever you can to make sure that you're getting that. I would also say that if you're not able to do that, when we talked about supplements earlier, you might be the person that I say probably take a multivitamin too. Just to make sure that you are getting all the vitamins and minerals if your diet really is that restrictive. Any kind of, I'm hoping that by beige foods you can fit in things like maybe chicken nuggets, maybe some fish fingers, so that you're getting some of your omega-3s, you're getting your protein in. So try and think about those types of foods less critically. Try not to like put yourself under pressure and like it made me feel sad that you said I eat like a child. You eat what you can. That's fine. Just do your best. Okay. So if those chicken breasts is all you can manage, like I said, fish fingers, nuggets, anything that's got protein in, try and have a look at the packaging, see if you can find the ones that are the highest in protein, and just kind of do like work your way around it that way. Also remember there's lots of health and lots of nutritional benefits in things like cereal and milk that I've already mentioned. At the minute, everyone's saying stop eating cereal, it's full of sugar, but there's still some really healthy whole grain versions out there that you can choose. Milk's full of vitamins and minerals. And if you don't and can't eat cow's milk, some of the plant-based milks are fantastic. Just make sure that you're going to the ones that are fortified with vitamins and minerals. And then, you could top up your protein with a protein shake if that's something that's doable for you. If you like the taste of fruity things, but not the texture of fresh fruits, because that can be the issue for picky eaters, is that fruit's kind of variable, isn't it? And you never know what you're going to get every time you bite into a piece of fruit. It could feel different. It could taste different. But actually, the flavour then of fruity things is fine for some people who are picky eaters. And if that relates to you as well, then try adding some fruits into a smoothie, for example, if that's more doable for you. So just doing the best you can. Don't beat yourself up about it. Try and make sure that you're getting a variety of things across the day as best you can. And if it's the same most days, it might be worth you looking at having a vitamin or a mineral. So I hope that was, a multivitamin and mineral, so that you're getting everything that you need. So yeah, hope that was helpful. Right, Lorraine, what have you got for me?
Is Sarah there? Sarah's still here. Oh, she's gone. Oh, there you are.
Sorry.
You're going to ask a question.
Yeah, I'll ask you a question for you. Actually, that's good timing because it sort of links in with the question that has just been asked. So we're taught for a long time to have to take 3 meals a day. And I got the concept of like an evening meal, like nailed down and working in the day. But I really struggle with breakfast and lunch and what variance that might look like. Like I'm from the 80s. Breakfast was cereal, lunch was a sandwich and crisps. And sort of my mind can't get past like a sandwich, and I really love bread. It's like my absolute downfall. But I just get really stuck with varied ideas. And I'm not fussy or picky per se, but I just can't think
Think of anything else.
Yeah.
So firstly, I'd like to ask, why do you want to change those things? Why do you want to change cereal and sandwiches?
Well, society, I suppose, because we've then taught, like you said some brilliant things, like we're told that cereal's got a lot of sugar in it, or that bread, if it's white, is really bad for you, and it's like over processed. And obviously, if you get it from the shop, it's got additives in and things to make it last longer, and so there's all additional things. And I think there's just
such an overwhelm of information on the internet. You know, we've got all these different Instagram pages, like, well, I'm not going to name them, but, you know, like loads of different cookbooks that all claim to be the best, that all claim to be like something different. And it's really hard to sort of wade through.
It's been overcomplicated, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my, I've said this to Lorraine previously, one of my sadnesses is that the good old sandwich has been shooed aside the way it has been. And actually, one of the things that I've unpicked quite a lot working with people in this space is that sandwiches are not bad for you. Let's think about a balanced meal, shall we? So we need carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. You 9 times out of 10 are going to get all of those in a sandwich. So you've got your carbohydrate. If you're having a whole grain or a brown bread, even better, because you're getting your extra fiber in there and some vitamins and minerals. Whatever you put in the middle of it generally is going to be a protein. So whether that's fish or meat or eggs or cheese, whatever it is, there you go. You've got your proteins and fats in there. And then you've probably put a sauce, a mayonnaise or some spread or something like that on there as well. So I wouldn't worry too much. There's definitely nothing wrong with a sandwich, and actually a few people could probably do with adding sandwiches back in. So I hope that's helpful and settled you
Okay.
that.
Yes. Brilliant.
Cereal wise, if that works for you, great. Yeah. And what cereals are you having?
Well, not really, because I'm really bad at breakfast. And I do tend to miss it, which then I feel really bad about.
Yeah. It's fine. If you're not a breakfast person, that's fine.
That's good to know as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I think like I said, we've massively overcomplicated it. If you then get to lunchtime and you cannot control your eating because you skipped breakfast, then maybe you should include breakfast. But if you get to lunchtime and you just eat your lunch as normal and it doesn't really have an impact, then that's fine too.
Brilliant. Thank you.
All right. And hopefully you got some other ideas for things for lunches as well along the way there. So if you wanted like soups, things like that, maybe just mix it up a bit, salads.
Definitely.
Any other questions?
Sarah, you've got another turn. Come on. I can't remember the second one. I can remember the second one, but not the third one. So it was all about things you should eat really to lower cholesterol, but slightly high cholesterol. In my 40s, Dad had a heart attack when he was 39. It's got lots of factors that impact that cholesterol, but I'm always told by GPs, oh no, we're not worried about it, but I don't get any nutritional advice of what to do. And again, there's loads of stuff out there that's sort of overwhelming. And so I find it really hard to find like an easy meal plan, which I think was also sort of my third question, that doesn't involve me going to like spending a fortune at Holland and Barrett, because obviously cost of living and things like that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so mildly elevated cholesterol, is that what you, yeah?
It's, well, I mean, it's like, it was 6.5 last time.
Okay, right, okay. And it runs in the family?
Yeah.
Okay. So are you looking to keep your weight stable whilst lowering your cholesterol?
Yeah. So I'm not really interested in losing lots and lots and lots of weight, but I would like to be healthier and move more, which Lorraine is helping me with that. But I do want to lower cholesterol whilst
Well, the great news is that exercise and nutrition both work really well together to lower cholesterol, which is really, really great news for you because you're already working on the exercise side of things. So even independently of each other, they can both have an impact, but together is the most beneficial. So you're already doing the right thing. So well done for that. And with obviously cholesterol, saturated fats are the thing that you would be looking at reducing. I'm sure you've already looked at that, because when somebody thinks about cholesterol, I'm sure that the first thing that they look at is swapping out the saturated fat in the diet. Unfortunately, that means reducing your intake of things like butter, and you could swap that for like an olive oil spread. So if you look on the back of the packaging, it's really like this the pain in the bum really of having to like deal with your own nutrition, is that you have to start reading things for a little while until you get used to them. I used to have it on my desk to show people, but they got old and I got rid of them. And if you look at the back of the packet of Lurpak Spreadable, for example, compared to the back of the packet of Bertolli Light, which is the olive oil spread, there's like half the fat in there.
Oh,
And the
wow.
saturated fat is so much lower. Added to that, in an olive oil spread, you'll get monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats that are really helpful for improving your good cholesterol. So olive oils, as we know, have got health benefits. So switching to olive oils can be really helpful if you've got high cholesterol. And then following kind of like your Mediterranean diets is usually the way that
Okay.
people recommend you approach that, especially from a weight stable perspective. You're
Okay.
not trying to lose weight. And other weight stable strategies would be making sure you're getting enough fiber. So making sure you're getting your whole grains.
Okay.
So yeah, you mentioned white bread. There's nothing wrong with white bread, but if you can swap it for a whole grain, it's going to be really helpful because of the way that it's absorptive properties when you're eating with regards to fat intake. So that would be helpful as well.
Oh, brilliant.
And there is a little bit of evidence that the plant salads and sterols do work.
Okay.
So you may have seen that there's the little drinks that has got, they're Activias, aren't they? I think, not Activias.
Like the Benecol. No.
And Benecol,
Benecol.
absolutely, that's it.
Yeah.
That if you had one of those a day, there is evidence that it can, alongside the other interventions that you're already doing, improving your diet and exercising, increase that impact by about 7%.
Okay.
So it might be worth trying.
Yeah, I'll give those a go then.
Yeah. Do you eat oily fish?
Oh, no, I do. I don't mind it. Like I do really like mackerel, but then am I in a fish mood today? I'm never really in a fish mood.
Is
So
it?
maybe I got forced.
Oily fish can be really helpful. So if you could add it in once a week,
Okay.
yeah, that would also probably help you. The oily fish, I always say is wrong. It's like I've got an acronym for it. I don't know if any of you have heard it. It's SMASH. So it just helps you know which ones to have. So salmon, mackerel, anchovies, sardines, and herring.
Okay.
So one of those. Everybody goes, okay, salmon.
Yeah. Salmon, mackerel.
The salmon and mackerel, yeah. So yeah, so one portion of that a week would help.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
I'll go. So we have an ongoing challenge in our household that basically my husband has been notoriously a picky eater, but he's now tracking his calories, he's tracking his protein, and basically that's created a scenario where I'm tracking what I'm eating, I'm also tracking what he's eating, and then making sure that our 3-year-old is also having the right food. And it feels like this is a whole industry in itself, which is more work for me, and I don't have the time for it. What I'm trying to do is educate my husband in what he can eat and that he can prepare for himself. But Lorraine also works for my husband, and he's a bit of a lost cause. So it's basically how can I make, what are the tips you've got for making kind of like family meal time easier for everybody, so that we can, if we can just all eat the same, happy days.
Okay. So firstly, and this might sound really accusatory, but I just want to get an understanding of why aren't you eating the same? What's different between the meals the three of you are eating, just so that I can understand how to make that fit.
I suppose to understand, I will put weight on by just looking at food. That's the bottom line. So I have to track what I'm eating really carefully when I'm tracking, and Lorraine knows this is an ongoing battle. My husband, on the other hand, he goes on a diet and he'll drop weight like you wouldn't believe. So he's having probably 1,500 extra calories than what I'm having at the moment.
but equally he struggles to eat. So I could consume a large quantity of food and not have a problem with that. Dan would be really put off if he had a massive plate of food in front of him. I love like my salads and things like that. If I put a big salad in front of him, he'd like pick the cucumber and tomato out, but probably wouldn't eat much lettuce. And then our little girl, she's a pretty good eater, but again can be a bit fussy. So sometimes it's always making sure, I don't know, if we had, let's say I'd done some sausages or something for dinner, then I'd do her maybe some alpha bites just to make sure that I knew she was getting enough food into her so that she then sleeps the night. So he's got kind of three separate dynamics in there.
Okay. So if you did sausages for dinner and you did alpha bites for the little one, what carbohydrate would you and your, is it husband? Would
Yeah, I would basically just have a massive bowl of salad at the moment.
Yeah.
But I might put some seeds and things like that as well in the mix. Dan would possibly have a piece of wholemeal bread with eggs and baked beans, and then Felicity might have beans and egg as well, depending on kind of what else was going on.
And do you do things like traditional family meals like bologneses and chilies and curries and things like that? Does that make it easier for you?
Yeah, that definitely makes it easier. But because I'm trying not to eat as many carbs, to get my protein and get my calories right, then that then makes it slightly harder, because then I'm cooking things that I fundamentally could absolutely gorge on. And I can't, if they're left on the side, I'll pick them. So that's a challenge.
Yeah, that makes sense. So remember at the beginning, when I was talking about adding in vegetables and things like that, and I was saying if you get used to looking at a meal and thinking about it from a perspective of what can I add rather than what can I take away, if you're putting a smaller portion of pasta, rice, potatoes on your plate, then you need to balance that with increased vegetables. And sometimes that doesn't compute because we're not used to having veggies with a bolognese, with a curry, with that sort of thing. So I would encourage you to start thinking about those family meals that you can create one meal for and just put some veggies in the microwave for yourself to bulk it out, so that you feel that you've had a really big bowl of dinner that fills you. And at the end of it, you're like, I'm actually really full. But you've had the protein and the fats from the saucy meal, for example, and then the fiber and the carbohydrates from the veg. So you can do that, and then you can give them more of the carbohydrates. So you're bulking up the calorie intake for your husband and also making sure that your daughter's got what she needs as well. And then with their meals, you can add things like cheeses and stuff like that. So make it as easy as you can for yourself with those types of meals, so that then when you've got these other meals, like with the sausages, that's the one night a week where it's a little bit more bathy for you, but it's worth it because you've had some easier nights.
Yeah, okay. No, that makes sense.
And if you've got leftovers, then as you're dishing it out and you're weighing it out, I'm assuming that you're weighing, you'll weigh the extras straight into Tupperware.
Okay.
So you've got portions that are already weighed out and measured that you can use at another time. So you're just kind of thinking about always being one step ahead for yourself.
Yeah, because I think that's where I go wrong, because if I do a batch of something, then I'll just put whatever's left into the freezer in one big thing rather than actually weighing that out too, and then that's a portion.
That's it. And then you've got to defrost the whole thing, and not everybody might want it. So the other thing that I would say is with that sort of meal as well is reinvent it. Reinventing food is the best tip that I can give anyone. So if you made a bolognese, and I'll keep harping on about this, but it's just a really simple family meal most people like. If you made a bolognese, then make a double portion, put half of it to one side and change it into something else. So you could change it instantly into, I don't know, an enchiladas meal, for example, or like you could make it a chili. There's so many, tacos, that sort of thing, and portion it out, intentionally knowing that you're going to use it for something else.
Okay, that's a really good shout, actually.
So that you've got the next 4 days, in 4 days' time, you're literally going to take it out of the freezer and you've made that because doing what you're doing is just extra work and more stress around food that you just don't need. So try and take it away wherever you can.
Yeah, okay. No, that's really helpful. Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions?
No, I think you've covered. You've covered. I mean, one of the things was the picky eaters because my son's autistic and I worry about his diet because he only eats beige food
Yeah.
and he'll only eat Granny Smith's apples and he'll eat peppers and that's it.
Yeah.
But he does eat cereal and he'll eat things like Shreddies and he'll have Weetabix and things like that.
Right.
So
That's great.
yeah, so that's it. So that's one thing I do worry about as he's getting older. It's,
Yeah.
it's going to affect his health. But
And does he have milk with those?
yeah, he does. Yeah.
Brilliant. So he's getting calcium and he's getting his fibre in there. And those cereals that you mentioned are fortified. They've got vitamin D in, they've got the zinc in, they've got other things. That's really good. And it's a big win that you've got that. And I think a lot of people misunderstand that people with autism and ADHD, they struggle with different textures and different foods. And actually having a set list of safe foods is a really big deal. Because like I said, if you bite into a banana, how many times are 2 bananas the same? They're just not, are they?
No.
And that's why it can be reassuring for people who are neurodivergent to have things that they know are going to taste exactly the same every time. So yeah, if peppers and Granny Smiths, you're getting them in, I'd say that's a big win, along with the cereal and just, doing your best.
Thank you.
Okay.
So how do you balance then having, like you say, so if you know that you only like children, for instance, I've got a 14-year-old at the moment who's very picky.
Yeah.
How important is it to have the calories and the energy versus the quality?
In general terms, it's important, but it's also a luxury and a privilege. And we don't all have that. And so I would say, like, as long as you're getting in the protein and you're getting in the energy for that person and they're eating, that is the main thing, especially with children. I mean, I don't generally work in pediatrics, but it has been part of my training. Getting something in is way more important than worrying about the smaller things. Like I said, we've massively complicated nutrition. Selling things to everyone, do like somebody mentioned cookbooks. It's crazy, isn't it? It's like you just don't know. If you watch some of the things online, you're like, even water's bad for you on some pages. It's like, oh my God. So yeah, just like trying to make sure that you're getting food in, it would be the one thing I would focus on. And you can always lean on, like I said, a multivitamin if you're really concerned, making sure you're choosing things that are fortified, so you're sneaking extra vitamins and minerals in. I think, like, take the stress away wherever you can from food. And that's the one thing that I find the saddest in what I do is that people are so stressed about getting it right. And actually, food's a wonderful thing. We're supposed to enjoy it. And so many people feel bad about enjoying it, and you really shouldn't. We're supposed to. And also worrying about getting everything right all the time. Actually, just do your best.
Have you found that's got worse as you've, like, over the last 10 years since you started, just like the sort of food guilt?
I don't know if it's got worse. I think there's just an information overload. I think previously we went from one fad to the other, didn't we? So, like, for example, many of you, like me, will remember Rosemary Connolly and her fat-free diet. And then it was like, oh, this is great because I can just have all the foods with the high sugar in. And then once everyone got used to that, it's like, oh, no, you can't do that. Now sugar's the bad thing. And whereas now everything's bad for you. Literally everything's bad for you. And it's like, it's so frustrating because people come with so many, well, if I put the sugar out, then I'm having artificial sweeteners. And they're bad for you. It's just like, it's not. It's just everything in moderation, which sounds easy, doesn't it? But it just isn't.
Can I just ask, sorry guys, and my camera's not working either.
It's all right.
Just from as you were just saying, a stress point of view, I am calorie counting at the moment, trying to stay in a deficit. but it is driving me absolutely insane. I feel like I'm just thinking about food nonstop all the time because it's tracking every tiny little thing. Have you got any advice for any other type of methods that is maybe not so? I mean, I know it's tricky because you've got to know what's going in and what's to see what your expenditure of your exercise is. But I just feel like all I'm doing is scanning labels. I don't even feel like I'm eating that much.
I know it's hard, isn't it? You don't have to track. Like, you can do it without tracking. But I understand that because you want results, tracking can give you a comfort blanket. So you can be like, yeah, I'm actually doing what I need to do. So then when the scales don't tell you what you want them to tell you, which is the biggest issue, you're like, well, actually, no, I did do everything right, and you don't beat yourself up about it. So it can be helpful in that respect. Couple of hacks with tracking, if that's the way you're going to continue, is like track the evening before or in the morning what you're going to have for the day, and don't think about it again and stick to it. That can be one way of just taking your mind away from it. So I don't know if that would be worth trying. The other thing that I would suggest is finding a way of visualizing and being able to always put the same portion out that you're having when you're tracking. And the top tip I use for this is cups. Has anyone got cups in their drawer that they've used for baking in the past? Yeah. So, like, for example, if you get the cups out of your drawer and keep them on the side where you can see them, and you're putting your carbohydrate out or you're putting your veggies out, get used to what it looks like, your portion in that cup, so that you don't have to count every single calorie for the rest of your life. Because when you get to your goal and you're like, right, okay, that's fine, you stop counting, you'll start slowly building up the size of the portion on your plate. It will just over time fill out. So I would find a way of getting a visual way of making sure you stay the same. And then some days when you just not be bothered, you can just use the cup and be like, it's fine. It's fine today. I don't need to track everything.
That's great. Thank you.
All right. Anything else, anyone?
Yeah, I've got a question, and I really fear that it's a really daft question. And I've Googled it, and it's such. Well, I don't feel I ever get a definitive answer. But let's say you're on a calorie controlled diet, obviously trying to lose weight, and let's say you set at 1800 for the day. If you exercise and if you're tracking it through, Fitness Pal and all that malarkey, and you've exercised and your calories have clocked up 500, so that 500 minuses off your 1800.
You mean adds on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you still have to eat 1800 of calories, or do you not have to make up the 500 that you've burnt off?
You don't eat the 500 back.
So you set at 1800, you've burnt 500, you don't have to. Right, okay. Thank you.
So the calculation, if I could design my own app, I would take that out because it confuses everybody. The calculation of 1800 that it's put you on for your calories includes your energy expenditure, including your exercise.
Right.
So if you then exercise 500 calories and eat the 500 calories back, you're taking yourself back into maintenance calories.
Okay. So you're not in danger of not eating enough?
No, because it's already calculated in your overall energy expenditure.
Brilliant.
That makes sense?
It does, yeah.
I'm really surprised Google can't answer that question.
Well, yeah. Maybe it's how I pose the question, I don't know.
No, just wild, isn't it? Yeah, but no, that's definitely, I think probably the apps must have confused that, and that's why the AI on Google can't answer it.
Right.
It's the only thing I can think of, but it does confuse everyone, so it wasn't a stupid question.
Oh, thank you. And lastly, is fruit really in terms of sugar? You mentioned 5 a day.
Mm-hmm.
Would you balance that 5 a day with less fruit because of sugar, or should that not be an issue? especially when you're trying to lose weight.
If you take sugar out of the equation, I would still say it needs to be a balance of fruits and vegetables. And the reason for that is because of the vitamins and minerals.
Okay.
So it needs to be a balance of both, right? Forget the sugar side of it. That's the definitive answer. Sugar, with regards to fruits and vegetables, because don't forget some vegetables are higher in sugar than others as well.
Okay.
It's contained within the cell wall of the fruit. So just like we're made up of cells, so is fruit, so is everything we eat, right? And in the fruit, in the cell, the sugar's in there. In order for it to be usable by your body, it needs to be broken down and released from the cell. So I'm spitting at you now because I'm really passionate. And it needs to be broken down and released from the cell in order for your body to use it as energy. Okay.
Yeah.
If in a fruit juice, it's already done that. So you've got just ready sugar ready to go, right? So that's why when we say 1 glass of fruit juice a day, no more than 125 mils, because it's just ready sugar for use. When you have a chocolate bar, it's just ready sugar for use. Sweets, ready sugar for use. They're the ones that build up through the day, and they're the ones that contribute to weight gain. The sugars in fruits and vegetables, they're mixed up with fibers and vitamins and minerals. We should not be worrying about that.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And again, it's just this sugar-free fad diet. Everyone's trying to sell different diets, aren't they?
Yeah.
Just to and it will work for some people. Of course it will, because they're reducing their intake. However, those are not the sugars that we should be worrying about. It's the free sugars that are already just there, ready for our body to use, that are the ones that we need to worry about.
Oh, that's a good explanation. Yeah. I wasn't quite sure on that. Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. Fabulous. I think we're just about done. So I don't know, Kyra, if you just want to tell people if they need any extra help or how they could work with you.
Yeah, I
get in
mean,
touch with you.
I do give lots of information for free on my social media. So come over and follow me at Kyra Collins Nutrition. If you've got like a health condition that you just want a one-off consultation about and you need some help with, by all means, drop me a message or an email. I am Kyra at k-c-nutrition.com. That's my email address. Or you can get me on social media as well, or even through Lorraine if you need to. And I do take on clients for one-to-one nutrition coaching. If you've got a specific aim of something that you want to work towards, whether that's fat loss or weight gain, or you're looking for a specific goal, like something to do with a sporting goal or anything like that. So yeah, you can contact me if you do need any further support.
Perfect. I think that's about it. And does anyone else got anything else they want to ask? I'm good, thank you. It's been really good. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
Thank you so
Lovely to meet
much.
you all. I hope I answered all your
Thank you
questions.
very much. Thank you.
You're
Really
welcome.
good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi. Do you work with you got any experience of people with eating disorders?
I don't work with people with eating disorders, but I can refer.
I work with eating disorders. I'm looking for a dietitian and nutritionist to refer to.
Okay. Yeah, I can. If you want to give me your details, I'll send some recommendations over.
Mail with my email.
Yeah. Sorry. Your
I'll
email
drop
address.
you an email
Yeah.
with my email address.
Kyra
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
k-c-nutrition.com.
Lovely.